And when we get proper knowledge, what happens? We can direct our mind and senses, into like, so we get liberated. And actually, liberation is not the correct word to use, because mukti, or what, devotees don't really care about mukti. All they care is about satisfying the Supreme Lord or serving the Supreme Lord. So whatever condition we are, that's real purification. The desire to serve the Supreme Lord, and desire to serve the Supreme Lord comes with love, and love happens when we associate more with Krishna and his devotees. So to develop love for Krishna, it's like a process. You start doing, we talked about going through the process of like sadhana, Vaidhi Bhakti, which develops into sadhana Bhakti, which goes into prema Bhakti. So something like that. You do it as an exercise. Eventually you become attached to it. The Bhakti, like sadhana Bhakti, you become attached to it. It turns into love for Krishna. So when that love for Krishna comes, again, there are different stages of love for Krishna. Which means like our consciousness is gradually getting purified. And so when we get to the stage of loving Krishna, then everything, like whatever, like the inferior energy and all the energies, we'll use it in his service. So that's the message Srila Prabhupada is trying to give us through this, the purport to this verse. So sorry. Yeah, so I'll actually stop here. Any questions we can? I mean, this is a little, I know most of you probably know what I'm talking about. Just people who are new, it's probably a little confusing. So if anybody is confused or have some, if you can ask me questions, and I'll try to clear up that. So I'll finish here. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, Dharma Pranam, all glories to Srila Prabhupada.
Yeah, yes, Mataji.
Prabhuji, I have a question regarding, I know we talked a little about free will, so just want to clarify, how does one uses that, again being under the influence of different inferior energies or three modes of material nature. So under the influence of all these external energies which are underplaying, how does free will factor in?
I mean, all these things are controlling you. There are constraints on you, like the three modes of material nature. I mean, that's there, and but that's the condition you are in. The three modes of material nature is the condition you are in right now. But and like I said, that again, you're like Mahamaya puts you in a prison. There's another constraint there. So you're right. There are all these different constraints, but within all these constraints, the Lord also sends like his messengers. He also has given us the Shastra. So all these Shastras and the messengers from they are meant to actually so that we can understand this, and we have the free will is there. Within the free will, we can decide. Like the free will is like, okay, it's a Friday evening. Should I sit and chant the Lord's name, or should I go for a Bollywood movie? So that's the free will you have. So you can choose to do either, right? And but then you will use that free will properly if you have proper knowledge, and that proper knowledge will come if your intelligence is like, if if you use your intelligence to understand, understand the nature of the body and why you condition, why you are here. So that feeling, atato brahma jigyasa, like the jigyasa to know, like, Brahman, or that should be there, and that will come because of, that will come only because of like somebody's sukriti. So uh, if somebody, that comes, it has to be given to you by. Uh, am I clear, Mataji, or am I still confused? Are you still confused?
So, Prabhuji, what I understand is that despite being under all the constraints and influences, we still have an element of free will,
Yes.
which gives the living entity the independence, or I guess maybe the right to make decision between right or wrong.
Yeah, and yeah, and once you, Mataji, once what happens, there is a word in the Bhagavad Gita, like once you once you practice devotional service and go back to Godhead, you will never you will never come back to this. You'll never come back. I don't know which chapter it is. Like uh, the the living the soul will never come back to the material world. So the question is then, like, there are a lot of people ask, like, then how come we are here? We were at one time, we were in the spiritual world, but we fell down and we came to the material world. So, like, you understand that, and even that coming down, falling down is because of that free will of the entity. You're there in Golok Vrindavan, you're serving the Lord, everything, but suddenly you get this desire, like to enjoy or whatever, like enjoy separate from the Lord. And then you yourself decide to come back to the material world. So it's actually like you don't fall down, you jump to the material world. So even there in Golok Vrindavan, you still have the free will. You follow that? Like,
Yes, Prabhu.
so the free will is always there in whatever, like, and you have to know how to exercise it, and that knowledge have to exercise it comes if you have proper knowledge of the Shastra.
Okay, Prabhu. Thank you, Prabhuji. Thank you.
Hare Krishna. Thank you much.
Hare Krishna.
Yeah. Thank you, Prabhuji. The devotees, anything else? Any other questions, concerns, comments, reflections, any realizations? Yeah, please open up. This is a time for question and answers as well as realizations. Anybody would like to add anything? Please go ahead. So when devotees comes together, they always discuss about the Supreme Lord, Bodhi and the Parasparam. And what they do, they derive such a great bliss and pleasure just discussing the glories of the Supreme. So these are all nothing but the transcendental subject matter, Krishna consciousness, science of Krishna, science of the spiritual, science of the Supreme, science of this material world. So you go to school and learn so many things. You learn ABCD, how to write a word, how to write a sentence, how to speak, how to make essays, or how things are working here in the physics class or chemistry class. Then we learn how to calculate numbers. So what we progress. We progress in our life. In we understand more and more about this. The science of this material nature. Same way here. We are learning this. Krishna is giving us the knowledge which is beyond this matter. So only the Lord and the Lord's representatives or devotees can impart those knowledges. So you have to be very attentive. This is not easily available anywhere. This has to hear from the self-realized soul, not from the anybody else. Srila Prabhupada nicely put a analogy that the milk which is touched by a serpent has a poisonous effect. So it's very important that where do we hear from, whom do we hear from, and Srila Prabhupada put Bhagavad Gita. It's not just Bhagavad Gita as it is. Srila Prabhupada well known that what is the dangerous of depending on so many other textbooks or so many other people's commentary or so many other people's. So we can see in this world, and it's actually diverted the people from focusing or understanding this transcendental subject matter. Rather, they all focused and went into the different directions. It's very important that we understand these factors and put ourselves in such a way that this is our last chance. And it's, Acharya goes further ahead. He says that, today is our last day. Or he even goes further that they say that the moment we have now is the last moment. That's the way we should see this, because it's so important. And this is the knowledge and the real realm of real factors of our life, or ultimately the science of spirit and the supreme. So it goes beyond. So please, share your realizations. We talk each other, we discuss each other, share our realizations each other, and then of course, and this is a sangha. Sangha means devotee association. Devotee association is not just ordinary material mundane association. These all have been destined, all have been preordained, all have been arranged by the mercy of the Lord. So we have to take advantage of each and every moment. Don't waste it. Thank you so much. Please go ahead if anybody would like to add anything.
Prabhuji, I have one question, Prabhuji, and it is not related to shloka.
Go ahead, please.
Yeah. So, when we talk about karma, right? So karma is all definitely associated to individual, because we have a false ego. That's because it happens based on the subtle elements, right? So I'm just trying to understand now our byproduct, right? When we give a child to, when we are blessed with a child, right? So I'm just trying to understand when we say we are bound by karma. Now, when we have blessed with a baby child or baby child, right? So does their karma drive our karma to do the same? Means their karma will override our karma, or something like this would happen. Like, no, I was in India, right? I was in US. I went back to India and then came back to US again. So I don't know why I came back, but when I asked my son, no, I want to study in US. So I'm just trying to understand. Now, was his karma which override my karma and saying that, okay, I have to go because he wants to come to US. So I'm just trying to understand, does this, in Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavatam, this sloka covers that, their karma would means based on their karma, I'm supposed to do what their karma is asking to. I'm just trying to understand this.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, do you want me to answer it? Do you want?
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead, please.
Prabhuji, okay, I this kind of question was kind of, a very similar question was asked by some devotees, and where, I'll give you this example I'm giving is not very good. When 9/11 happened, right? 9/11, like the Twin Towers came down. Like
Right,
I was I was at the Bhakti Center, and there was Gopal Krishna Maharaj. We just observed this, and so people were like there were many Americans, young, who were like, they would come there and they were very agitated about the whole thing, and then they were asking, how come, like, this evil people, like, they drove there into the towers, and how the entire thing fell down, and all these people who were there, 3,000 people who passed away. What happened? Why was it like, So one thing we have to understand is this karma is very complicated. We can never have a proper understanding of how karma works. It's very intricate. It's like so we will not understand. But what happens is, like, these people carried some karma from their whatever lives or whatever actions they did in this life, And the people who had, like the people who drove into the aeroplane, who took the aeroplanes into the building, they had their free will, like they had their free will. But because of this, because what happened, the karma of these people and the free will of these people, at one point they collided. And this is very, uh, it's a very, nobody can know how it works, but it is very, so same way when it comes to your case, your son has his karma, and you have your karma, and you have your free will, and he has his free will. So all these things act in a way like it's very difficult for us, sitting with our to understand how this works. But it is true what you said to a certain degree. Your son's free will and your free will, they decided together to come back to the US. Both of you, and it is your karma, whatever karma which gave you, which was able. And again, there is you shouldn't forget the Paramatma. So it's a karma and the Paramatma which actually gave you the ability to come back to the US. But ultimately, what the decision was done by the free will of both of you. You both decided you wanted to come back to the US. But again, it's your karma and the Paramatma which actually allowed you to come back. And to a certain degree, the like the karma of your son and you is kind of intertwined. So so because of that intertwined, he became your son. He came in the first place as your son because it was intertwined at some point. So wherever we take birth, our parents, our kids, and all, our karmas are intertwined with them at some, to some degree. That's why we all come in a family. And even our interactions with other devotees are because of that, karma being intertwined. I mean, I don't know if it was a very good way of answering, but this is what Gopal Krishna Maharaj said, in that question. So, I mean, the question you asked kind of took me back there. Does that help, Prabhu?
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah, it's like it's not easy to understand because, but there is your karma, there is his karma, and at some point there is, like I said, they use the word intertwined, and it gets together,
I also heard further to that, children
Yes.
are actually taking birth in they were our enemies in the past life, and they are
Okay.
taking birth in this life to repay, and that the father or that to struggle and to repay that. The wife is in the previous life was a husband and taking birth as this lifetime as a husband, or husband would take as this lifetime as a wife, so they repay each other. So karma has to repay somehow. In this way, like relatives, right? We know that in the family life, a wife or a husband, they are tied 7 generations. That's according to our scripture. They are tied to 7 generations. Sat Janma say, we heard about it, right? Relatives and whomever we are actually coming in contact, some way or other, they have been in the past. We were, in the life or past lives, have been together, or some way or other have been, some kind of indebtedness, or we have to repay or pay back, or we did something bad for them, or they did something good for them. This is all, it's very, very intricacies, very, complicated, but at the same time, yes, anything which we goes through the good and bad in a collective way, like a family, yes, did something good in the previous life, so we all enjoy together. And also, if something is there bad, we are also suffering together, right? Like for something happens to a husband, the wife suffers, and something happens to the wife, husband suffers, and the family suffers. Why? Because of in the any of them the past life, they must have done something together. This is called collective karma. Collective karma, like for an example, there is a that what is called butcher house. In the butcher house, there are tons of people, or thousands of people, or hundreds of people working together in just killing a cow. And that killing a cow, that flesh is coming to the market. There are people, those who are, part of it. Then there are people, those who are bringing to the shops, and then there are people going to buy it, and there are people going to eat it. Everybody is related, everybody is connected to that sinful activity of killing a cow or Brahmahatya. So they all have to go through the same, sinful reactions, right? Maybe a little degree wise, maybe, but they are bound by it. So then something happens. So then they all comes together, and like you mentioned, it's collide, together. This comes together, and then all this together. That's what is a family, or that's what it is a person's complete. If you take any person's life, we can see this, we can understand this. There are relationship between them, relationship between the people we are related with. The even sometimes in the business, there are business together. Then what happened, some people they together do the business, some people cheat another person, that person will kill that person. We have seen so many horrific stories here in this world, right? So why it is all happening? Because of they have, this is called prarabdha karma. That is the karma, sanjita karma, the karma they are accumulated in their many lifetimes. So it's all manifesting one by one. So it doesn't matter. So it will come back to us. So then this is the way, like sometimes we also say that marriage ceremony. Why we need to do the marriage ceremony? So when a husband and wife, then two couples comes together, when we perform the marriage ceremony, with that ceremony, it's an yajna, this is a sacrifice, then they can reduce this collective karma together. Then there is a what is called the sanskaras. A child take a birth, and we do the sanskaras. Why we do the sanskara? This various namakarana ceremony or annaprasana ceremony. It's also the purpose is that when the joins to the family, then why this process is anything there is a bad in their in the karma, all that can be reduced in a big way. So yeah, I mean it's there is a relationship, um, definitely, and but only way that we can all free from all this is actually how much we indulge, engage in the loving devotional service to the Lord, chanting and obeisances and the prayers, and all this will reduce again, the effect of the karma. Like Bhagavatam very clearly explains that for a devotee, all this samsara, all these problems and the suffering of the karma is like a crossing a water contained in the footprint of a calf. But other people, a materialistic person, is like closing an Atlantic Ocean. That's the difference. So definitely, this process of bhakti is definitely reduce the degree or intensity of the reactions of the karma which people are going to suffer. But again, one has to go through the karma no matter what, whether it is good or bad, unless and until we completely surrender unto the Supreme Personality of God. Then if we completely surrender unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead, then there is no karma. There is, Krishna will take care of. I will protect. Krishna says that. Then, I will free you from the sinful reactions. So only that point of time, completely surrender unto Krishna. Then only. Otherwise, we will have the effect of all this out there. Yeah. Hare Krishna.
Yeah, Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Yeah.
Shravani, I have a follow-up question on that. Um, so we talked about the karmas and the effect that the the karmic effects that the living entity has to go through to in order to reduce it. So my question is, how can how can we stop getting entangled more into creating more karmas or get more entangled? How can we stop that? Because if 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 we are saying that we are tolerating the effects of our past karmic activity, good or bad. So, how can we stop getting more entangled while we are going through, the process of either nullifying or tolerating or going through the karmic reactions?
Mataji, I mean, you could have we talked about akarma, vikarma,
Mm.
and karma, right?
Mm.
Like in the previous chapters, like in the,
Mm.
I think it was the fourth chapter, we talked about
Fifth chapter.
fifth chapter, yeah, like we talked about akarma, vikarma, and karma. So there is like the vikarma, which is the bad karma. Like if you do something bad to others, it'll come back to you. Similarly, if you do punya karma, you have to come back and enjoy. So you would have to take birth again just to, but in better circumstances. So you're still entangled, but that happens. And the third one is akarma, where you gather no karma, and that comes when you actually perform devotional service, and everything is everything is done. All the results are surrendered to Krishna. Like you, what is that? Karmanyeva adhikaraste ma phaleshu kadachana. You know, Krishna gives the result. So everything is like uh, you do your duty because Arjuna was duty fighting in the war. Similarly, you do your duty, but all the results of whatever you do are surrendered to Krishna. So when that happens, and again, you have to understand, like there are a lot of people who think like I'm not. It's not the difference between not being attached to the results and surrendering your results to Krishna. There's a lot of people think, okay, I I won't be attached to the results. It's not like that. You have to be attached to the results, but the results should be surrendered to Krishna. It's the principle of yukta vairagya. So when that happens, you finally stop your karma. You don't gather any more karma, uh, because everything is surrendered to the Lord. He takes it, and then you go back to Him. Then there's no. Then you come out of this, samsara sagara. Uh, does that make sense, Mataji?
Okay, so with the karma, we are saying that would enable the past karmic accounts, right? That's what we are trying to say by
No,
the
when you
execution of devotional service or by
when you do,
performing a karma, we are reducing those karmic reactions.
I mean, whatever karma, it's like if you're doing devotional service, whatever you're burning up bundles of karma which you're
Mm.
carrying from your previous lives. You're just like burning
Mm.
them when you do devotional service.
Okay.
So devotional service, like
Okay.
it's like you have this karma because of the karma. The fan is going, and then when you start performing devotional service, it's somebody coming and like switching off, the fan. But the fan will still go for a little bit because of the momentum, but eventually it'll stop. So when you start doing devotional service, eventually, all whatever karma you have in the past, they'll all get burnt, and then there won't be any more karma.
Okay. Thank you.
Right.
There are a couple of stages, as it's Proji mentioned. Yes, once we start to do the devotional service, then of course, that depends on our surrender, depends on our realization and sincerity, and it will reduce, the karma will reduce, definitely. Then again, our activities, right? So that's what is, we should always engage in the Krishna conscious activities. Let's just, for an example, the food we eat. So if we don't offer, again, we are in devotional service. That doesn't mean that, we give, it's a license for doing any kinds of, other activities which creates the karma, which creates the sinful reactions. Still there, that's offenses we make and the sinful activities we do. Like for an example, if we eat, which is not offered to the Lord, that is, it's Bhagavad Gita itself says that we are eating a sin. That means we are eating, we are acquiring the karma. Anything like that, telling lies or pretending or, doing, thinking, feeling, and willing, all this, doing bad, talking bad about others, or thinking even bad about others, this enmity, this jealousy, this arrogance, and all these things, right? So again, right, think about that. These are all creates the karma. These are all creates the sinful reactions, right? So even there was lots of example out there. One fellow was one shopkeeper. He saw one day a king was actually passing through with good richness. He was just thinking about it. Oh, is something, why, how he is so that, he should die and things like that. Then, then actually there was a priest or somebody. Then something happened to the shopkeeper. Some hurricane came, everything is destroyed and all those things. He came to see that what was the cost. And, then he found out that, from that, oh, this was because of I thought about bad about others, then that would come to us. This is the law of karma. If we do good thing about something good for others, good will come. If we think something bad for others, bad will come. That comes to us no matter what. So we have to every aspect of. I mean, Srila Prabhupada says that it is like a walking on an edge of a very sharp razor. Thinking that in Srila Prabhupada writes in the purport, we are walking on an edge of a very sharp razor. That you know that way that we have to take that seriously. Why? Because of even if a small mistakes that we can get bleed. You know, it can really cause bleeding, even if a small mistake. So it's very important that we practice as much as yes. That's why it's not an easy journey. Okay, we just come today and tomorrow I'm liberated, unless and until we completely free from all the anarthas, all the offenses. Otherwise, it's a big journey. We may go up to some extent, right? Maybe 30-40% in this lifetime. Then we take birth again, and then next lifetime we start from there 40% to 60%. Then it's a journey. It's a big journey, right? Many devotees shared their experiences that even I was doing this for last 40 years. Yeah, I'm coming little more realization, little closer to things like. But that definitely doesn't mean that we should stop everything and we should try as much as possible. A very wonderful. That's why all these instructions are there, because in order to just free from all this, again, thinking, feeling, and willing. Willing means we do the activities. So we just stay away from all this, focus on Krishna. That's why always Krishna consciousness, chant the holy name, and read and hear and associate with the devotees and whatever the way, so that we can reduce the effect of Maya. Of course, this is an effect of Maya, and then we can increase more on the spiritual, the yoga Maya, the real the real potency of the real spiritual potency. Srila Prabhupada says that, right? Surya hi what is called Maya hi Andagar. Uh, what is that? Surya hi Saman, Maya hi Andakar. Wherever there is a sun, there is no darkness. Krishna Surya Saman, Maya hi Andakar. Krishna is Surya Saman. Krishna's name, paraphernalia, everything. Krishna is Surya Saman, Maya hi Andakar. And where there is Krishna, there is no Andakar, there is no Maya. So that's why we have to take shelter of Krishna in all respects. In all respects. And our life should be dovetailed. Our life should be tuned. That should be practiced in such a way that we should not eat anything outside, should not eat anything which is not offered to the Lord. Tell always the Krishna conscious, and don't tell lies or don't tell things like that. Don't pretend in this any of these things. Be sincere and sacred in all respect as much as possible, and be chant and hear, because of this is the way that we can free from all these things. So it takes time, of course. It's not that an overnight thing. It takes time, and we come to that stages of pure. That's called pure. The pure means there is no offenses, there is no karma is completely freed, and then we completely kind of conscious of Krishna. There's so many devotees out there. They completely purified. themselves, and they always engage in the loving devotional service of Krishna. They like to do it, and these are the symptoms when we say that they are so ecstatic to do services. They are ecstatic to do associate with the devotee. They are very ecstatic. They don't care anything about us. But when we are tied up with the Maya and the sins which is still there, so we say hesitate, oh, I have a lot of other things to do. I have today this class, I have today that one. Oh, I have this one. So many excuses. Why? These are the symptoms and reasons of, yes, we are still caught up with the Maya and the sinful reactions. So that comes to us. So yes, the answer is only by Krishna conscious and devotional service that we can gradually come out of it. Yeah. Okay. Anything else? Anybody else has anything to add? Okay, so then Dattatreya Prabhu, you wanted to say something. It's been quite some time. Thank you for joining.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Dandavat Pranam, all goes to Srila Prabhupada.
All goes to Srila Prabhu.
Thank you very much. Again, I was listening, and your class was a very nice class, very nice question answer also. Very appropriate question answer. Enjoying.
Enjoying, okay.
Yeah.
Yes, it's a transcendental enjoyment, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so wonderful. If there is nothing else, then let's conclude. Yeah. Okay, so thank you so much, dear devotees, for joining. Yes, this is wonderful, very wonderful. It gives us everything. This we have to take shelter of all this association, the hearing process, the chanting process, Srimad Bhagavatam class, association of devotees. And this is the real process. Or this is the real fact in our life. Everything else is, just zeros, waste of time. Doesn't create anything, doesn't yield anything. So this is the only thing which gives anything. As Krishna says that at the time of death, nobody else can save us. Nothing else can save us. Nothing else. Only this, that what we discussing, what we are remembering, what we are accumulating in our mind, in our consciousness, in our body, all this develops such a pure Krishna consciousness, and that takes us, to the next level at the time of death. So life is a preparation. Death is an examination. It's very important lessons we learn every day. So thank you so much. Please join every day, and every other opportunities is, I strongly believe all the time, it's the mercy of Krishna and arrangement of Krishna, nothing else. Everything, especially, one day somebody asked to Kadamba Kanna Maharaj, have you seen God? Maharaj replied, yes, I see the Lord in every aspect of my life. I can see his hands in everything. So like that, his hands is there in everything, every aspect of our life. Please take it seriously. This is the only way it can say, only thing which can save us as much as possible. And Srila Prabhupada says, chant and be happy, right? Be happy spiritually, blissful. Thank you, Hare Krishna. Vancha kalpatarupasya kripa sindhu evacha पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। वैष्णव वृंद की जय। ग्रंथराज श्रीमद् भगवत गीता की जय। श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय। अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जय। गौर प्रेमानंदे हरि हरि
Hari Hari.
हरे
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Saidi. Thank you for the class.
Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Thank you much.